We're talking Aaron Rodgers news. Yeah, more Aaron Rodgers, but we're getting closer to the end. I promise you. We're very, very close, maybe hours away, maybe 24 to 48 hours away. We're not sure before we find out that Aaron Rodgers is A, coming back or not coming back, B, going to New York or Las Vegas or back to Green Bay or the Miami Dolphins. We got to kick around this rumor, either shoot it down, talk about the validity of it, and then we've got Alvin Kamara news. Alvin Kamara pled not guilty to both charges. We're going to talk about it right now. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now, pal.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
File on in. We're not doing live dress. We're doing Aaron Rodgers and Alvin Kamara breaking news. We'll be discussing this for the next, 30 to 40 minutes. Depends on what pops up while we're live. So, come on in, file on in, hit that thumb up button. Aaron Rodgers, there's some rumors right now we got to address, okay? Miami Dolphins is getting potentially kicked around. Why, who, how? Is it legit? Is it total fabrication? Are there any legs to this at all? Probably minimal, but possible, sure. Okay. Ben Kirk, friend and former teammate of Aaron Rodgers, has, this is from U Stadium, has an interesting opinion on where number 12 will play next. Aaron is going to end up with either the New York Jets or the Miami Dolphins. If I had to really guess, I'd say the Dolphins. So it wasn't like he was kicking around two ideas. He actually thinks he's going to Miami. They have the roster to win a Super Bowl, and he could really enjoy some time. Look, I want this badly in some ways. I do want him in New York because of what it does for Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall and the New York Football Jets, who I'm just enamored with going into the 2023 fantasy football and NFL season, because I love all these players. I love the team. I love what it represents. I love Sauce Gardner. I love the defense. I love everything about the New York Jets. I do, and I'm super excited about where this team's going with either Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers, and I firmly believe the Jets will have one of the two. The Raiders, I don't want the Raiders to be left empty-handed in terms of getting Aaron Rodgers, because then we have Devontae Adams struggling to pull in passes if he's not getting thrown footballs by Derek Carr, who is gone, or Aaron Rodgers, who is, I think, likely to go there if the New York Jets scoop up Derek Carr. Now, Derek Carr is in the driver's seat. Derek Carr can sign today. Derek Carr was released by the Raiders, meaning he is the only quarterback on the QB carousel. I don't know. I was showing that the other day, and it somehow plays whenever I click that scene. I know you guys want to see me kick a field goals, but we're done with that. So Aaron Rodgers, if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Raiders, we have Devontae Adams taken care of. If Aaron Rodgers ends up going to, let's say the Dolphins, okay, then who's going to the Raiders? Who's taking care of Devontae Adams? Who's taking care of Darren Waller? Jimmy G? If Jimmy G's in a Raider uniform, Devontae Adams goes down 3, 4, 5 overall draft slots, maybe more, and probably goes from being a top 5 wide receiver to a top 7 to 12. Maybe he's still top 8. Maybe he's top 7. I mean, it's tough to say, but I definitely don't love this situation for Devontae Adams if Aaron Rodgers is not a part of this story. Carson Wentz. I mean, who's going to be there? Who's going to be there? If Aaron Rodgers returns to Green Bay, that's the only scenario where the Raiders still have hope, because they could try and go after Jordan Love in a trade and at least try and get some kind of upside. But the talk right now is this Miami situation. How possible is this? How likely, how plausible is this? Well, number one, the Miami Dolphins don't have a first-round pick in the 2023 NFL draft class. So when we're talking about Aaron Rodgers' likelihood of going to Miami or likelihood of going to the New York Jets or the likelihood of going to the Raiders, what do the Raiders have that other teams don't? The number 7 overall pick. What would most likely be involved in an Aaron Rodgers trade to Las Vegas? Aaron Rodgers. The Raiders are in a box because there are no other good options for the Raiders. This is it. It's Aaron Rodgers or fold. And you've got Davante Adams making Davante Adams money. You have one shot. It's Aaron Rodgers. So if they try to hold back and play this the wrong way, they're going to get left in the dark with no quarterback. Miami Mike, without a first rounder, can't compete with the Raiders' number 7 overall pick. He just can't. So at the end of the day, I think even if Aaron Rodgers wanted to go to Miami, that would be the only way that gets forced. Okay, Aaron Rodgers says, look, I don't want to go to the Raiders. I don't want to go to the Jets, which I don't think is the case. Or Derek Carr goes to the Jets and takes the Jets off the board. So let's say it's between the Raiders and the Miami Dolphins where Aaron Rodgers could be playing. Could I see the Miami Dolphins offering a lesser trade because it doesn't involve a 2023 first rounder? Maybe they kick in some more seconds to try and make up for that. And Aaron Rodgers say, I don't want to go there, or I want to go there. I don't want to go to the Raiders. And then the Green Bay Packers accepting the less attractive offer. Sure, because ultimately, if he doesn't want to go to the Raiders and he does want to go to Miami and he says, I'll just retire, the Green Bay Packers, yeah, they get out of some money and all that, but they lose Aaron Rodgers and don't acquire that important draft capital that is, I think, a must, at this point for the Green Bay Packers. So there is some control. There is a world where I could see A-Rod going to Miami, but at the end of the day, the offers aren't going to be as enticing because Miami doesn't have the first round pick. So in a nutshell, is there a chance that this news right here, this speculation by former teammate of Aaron Rodgers and friend, and according to Aaron Rodgers, anybody that's talking right now is not in his inner circle. So how good of a friend could Kurt really be? Because he's running his mouth right now. And Aaron Rodgers specifically said anybody running their mouth right now is not being told inner circle information because his inner circle wouldn't dare come out and speak about this to anybody. So Kurt, I hate to break it to you, Kurt, but you're not in Aaron Rodgers' inner circle.
You've just been...
However, there is a world where this could be a possibility, and there's a reason we've loved the Miami Dolphins and kept them on this list as being really the number one landing spot for any quarterback that wants to land with a new team in 2023. This is the place to go because you've got a track team in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle pulling in passes. So, it would be amazing for those wide receivers in the offense, but it just takes a quarterback off the board for a bunch of places that are vulnerable right now without signal callers in the Saints for Olave, the Jets for Garrett Wilson, the Raiders for Davante Adams, the Bucks for Godwin and Mike Evans, and the list goes on and on, So it's like without Aaron Rodgers going to one of those locations and going to a location where the wide receivers will be okay anyway, it does make us a little concerned for some of the Moon Men.
The Moon Men dropping loads in outer space.
We need Lamar with Drake London and Pitts. We need Watson to have at least Jordan Love or Aaron Rodgers, which will happen, so he's safe. Olave, I'm excited about Olave no matter what, but if he was able to get, let's say, a Derek Carr, wow, we'd be so thrilled. Garrett Wilson, I firmly believe the Jets are just the most attractive landing spot out of any team, not even the teams that need a quarterback, just out of any team, period. So I think Garrett Wilson's almost assured Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers because I believe that both quarterbacks prefer New York as their number one option. So they're going to be clamoring over this job. New York's, I think, in the driver's seat as much as Derek Carr's in the driver's seat because Derek Carr was released. Derek Carr and Carson Wentz, both released quarterbacks, are the only two quarterbacks that can sign today. Everybody else has to wait until March 15. So they're in the driver's seat, but the Jets are in the driver's seat because they're the most attractive option by far. So I firmly believe Garrett Wilson is going to be taken care of. Breece Hall is going to be taken care of. And we're going to see those two gentlemen, Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, most likely be looking at Aaron Rodgers or looking at Derek Carr, or you never know, could be Lamar as well. But that's kind of the way I feel like it's. I feel like it's going to be Derek Carr and the Jets. But man, if Aaron Rodgers goes there, we're ecstatic anyway. Derek Carr to the Dolphins would be amazing, but again, that's probably not going to happen because he'd have to get the bank. He'd have to get the bag, the whole bank, the entire guarantee. That you are the starter, and with Tua there, it would be, I think, concerning to Derek Carr, unless he was getting paid so much money that he felt like there's no concern at all. Or there's some kind of internal discussion about Tua not playing next year or something, and we don't know that. Like, things like that could maybe come into play. But I think if let's say Aaron Rodgers goes here, there's a real strong shot that Derek Carr is a New Orleans Saint. But, there are, I would say that. I would say if Aaron Rodgers steals away this New York Jet situation, Derek Carr to the Falcons, I don't hear much about that. Bucks, I don't hear much about that. Dolphins, I don't hear much about that. Saints are probably his landing spot. And he's shown interest there multiple times. So that feels like it. In the initial report that the Saints stepped all over him when they tried to tell him to take a pay cut. We don't even know how accurate any of that information is. So, shoddy reporting going on right now. And you got to be a little careful and take everything with a grain of salt. So this we don't know. Miami Dolphins end up with the Miami Dolphins. Kurt, do you even know what you're doing, Kurt? Do you even know what you're looking at, Kurt? Are you just guessing? Are you even looking at contracts? Are you looking at this situation right here, Kurt? Does Kurt know what's going on? Does Kurt know what time it is at all? I don't even know. So this right here, the Packers dead money charge would jump from $40 million this year to $60 million if they move on from Aaron Rodgers next season. And as I alluded to earlier, the Green Bay Packers, to my knowledge, unless something changed, to my knowledge, the Green Bay Packers would be able to spread this out over multiple years if they trade Aaron Rodgers after June 1, which means that they got to take the entire hit, take all their lumps right in one season if they trade him before June 1. Now, maybe there's some loopholes in that, and that reporting was shoddy. These are things above everybody's pay grade that's reporting on them because they're in the contracts. They're details that need to be looked at by lawyers and accountants and things like that. But what's being reported, and has been reported several times, is that the Green Bay Packers can spread it out if they trade him after June 1, which adds a complexity to this deal of sending Aaron Rodgers away because the acquiring team may have to be okay with the June 1 acquisition. It's happened before in the NFL. The trade is essentially announced verbally, but gets executed on June 1, which is a hike away. It's a long time away. So that sets back the acquiring team a little bit in terms of preparation for the season. They don't get their quarterback till June 1, but not a whole lot is going on in May anyway, so it's not like it's that big of a deal at the end of the day, to be honest. But it does add a little bit of a complication to the situation. But Aaron Rodgers, there you go. And then this little number right here, this little report on A-Rod, we got three little pieces here. The Carolina Panthers called the Packers to inquire about Aaron Rodgers. But this is cute. This is cute. Carolina wants to get in on it. I'm sure it went a little something like this. It's ringing. We got through. Yeah, Green Bay Packers. Hi, this is the Carolina Panthers. Hi, you may not know of us. Oh no, yeah, we've heard it. We've heard of you. We know who you are. Yeah. We basically have interest in Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, They have interest. Yeah, I bet you do. Is he for sale? Hold on, let's text Aaron Rodgers real quick. Hey, A-Rod, are you interested in going to Green Bay? Yeah, I'll go ahead and retire into a darkness retreat counselor before I'm going over to Carolina, so that's a negative. Yeah, we'll get back to you, Carolina. That's how that conversation goes. You can dream all you want. The Carolina Panthers can wish all they want, but Aaron Rodgers has control to a degree to say, no, I'm not coming over to Carolina so I can have one last hurrah with no weapons and a team that's not destined for any sort of playoff berth. Maybe he can drag them to the playoffs, but they're not winning anything. Aaron Rodgers is not going to. It's really cute of him to want to get involved, and I do appreciate that. It is kind of fun. We all want to get involved. Hey, I know I can make news right now. We would like to have Aaron Rodgers. We're going to call and inquire if he's able to be a co-host on this show. Email sent. Now we made news. We want Aaron Rodgers to be a co-host of the show. Will it happen? I don't know. Maybe just as likely to happen as him become a Carolina Panther. So this no news is no news. We'll go ahead and throw that in the trash can. Let's see here. We got this other piece of news. Okay, all the Aaron Rodgers stuff out of the way. We're moving on to Alvin Kamara. Appreciate everybody being in here. We got a super chat here from Melvin. Melvin says, do you think Daniel Jones will sign with the Giants? I'm going to get to that on my 7 p.m. show. In a nutshell, they're still very, very far apart. The Giants are racing to sign either Barkley or Daniel Jones before the March 7 deadline, where the franchise tag window closes, so about 5 days. If they can't get a deal done with either one, then they can only franchise tag one and the other hits free agency, which means that they will, because you can't play without a quarterback, they're going to franchise tag Danny Dimes. Probably the non-exclusive, which would be 32 million, I think. 32 million for the non-exclusive tag. Anybody wants to offer a deal to Daniel Jones, and they have to surrender 2 first-round picks if the Giants decide not to match the offer sheet that the offering team offers Daniel Jones on the non-exclusive tag. The reason the team will non-exclusive tag Daniel Jones, in my opinion, at least why it would make sense, is that no team's probably given up 2 first-rounders for Daniel Jones. And even if they did want to, the offer sheet, maybe the Giants are already considering the amount of money that someone's going to offer him anyway. And if push comes to shove, they'll pay out, but they're going to try and get away with this non-exclusive tag. And if no one comes along and offers the contract that they're willing to pay anyway, that they're trying not to pay, they want to rent him for one more season, which makes sense, then, anything can happen. But Daniel Jones will need to be signed and inked to a deal, or Barkley signed and inked to a deal before March 7, when the deadline for franchise tagging it ends and it closes out. And so they're losing Barkley. If they can't get a deal done with Barkley or Dimes, Barkley's hitting free agency. Thank you for the super chat, my guy. And first in the building today was Peanut Butter and Waivers, followed by Warren and Jeb and Mario and Raphael and Bruce. The Bruce in the building. Appreciate you all being here. Frake in the house. Terry Roberts in the chat doing Terry Roberts things. Rob, Mr. TDD class. Appreciate every single one of you hod in the building. Alvin Kamara news. This one's a strange one, and I reached out to Tony, and hopefully Tony will dial in. If not, we'll talk to Tony, I'm sure, on another live stream about it. As soon as he calls in, we'll pull him in. But Alvin Kamara pleaded not guilty during his arraignment on charges of conspiracy to commit battery and battery resulting in substantial bodily harm. 2 very, very different charges. 2 very different. The conspiracy is like the planning of doing it, okay? Conspiracy to commit battery is not battery with bodily injury. They're 2 separate things, and you got to think, and again, I'm no attorney. This is my Smitty, over the course of 20 plus years professionally doing what I do, gathering what I gather, and I'm sometimes wrong, and I might be misinformed, or I might need a guy like Tony to come in and clear it up. But I've been gathering information for a while. I do pretty good on this, but we do want Tony in here to clarify. But the reason you're going to have these 2 charges is so that he can't really skate. Because maybe they can't prove the bodily harm, but to have the lesser charge on here, it protects the prosecution in a way they can easily get that charge. So, and the plea, the ability to maybe allow him to plea out of this, because there's no settling. This is criminal. There's no settlement in criminal. That is in civil. In criminal, you're going to plea out. Plea is essentially, not always, but almost always, plea is an admission of guilt to a lesser count or a lesser charge so that you can avoid more punishment or a bigger punishment. So if Kamara does plea out, the lesser charge is in place here to maybe allow that opportunity, to plea out on the lesser charge only and say either guilty or, in a sense, we forgot the name of it, Tony gave us the verbiage on it, but it's essentially like a, not pleading guilty or innocent, low no contesto or something like that. And if Alvin Kamara does plea, he will be being punished by the NFL, because it will be in the eyes of the NFL an admission of guilt. But the thing that Tony explained to us is, if, let's say, he doesn't plead guilty to the battery resulting in substantial, I'm sorry, he did plead not guilty to both, but let's say he's convicted and he's guilty on just the conspiracy charge, his amount of time that would be missed would be a lot lesser. He most likely wouldn't miss the entire 2023 NFL season, because that charge is very much looked at as a much, much, much lesser charge. However, the optics are not good. It's not no contest. It's called something else. It's not something that anybody in here has heard of other than from Tony. It's not no contest. It's called no low contest, or no low. It's not contest, no contest. It's low something. It's some kind of Latin. And if he does plead to that, it's not admitting guilt. It's not admitting innocence. It's just it's a form of no contest in a sense, but it's a specific verbiage. If Alvin Kamara is found guilty on the battery resulting in substantial bodily harm, he's done for the season, in my opinion. He's done for the season. Now, will he plea out to the lesser charge? And probably in that plea, there are all kinds of monetary medical awards to the individual, the alleged victim. There's that chance that he could plea out. There's a chance he could be offered a deal, not a settlement. It's an admission of guilt in the eyes of the NFL to plea on the lesser charge, and then the guy's going to get paid bank and medical fees and things that you can include in a criminal. Civil would be all the monetary. It's not jail time. Civil is always monetary, but there is some monetary components in a criminal that could be tied to that lesser charge. So it's very important to understand that that it's not. We have no clarity here, and we don't know where this is going to go. It's very much going to depend on if he's guilty on both charges or just the lesser charge. And the NFL's eyes, again, the optics are so bad. The video's so bad. The footage of Alvin Kamara in the limousine, where after the fact, he's talking with everybody that's in the limousine. There's like one or two females. There's a male in the front seat, the passenger seat, and then the guy driving the limo. And basically the guy in the passenger seat, reportedly the friend of Alvin Kamara, said, "You can't be doing this." And Alvin Kamara says, "You know me though, you know me," like admitting that this isn't like he was not in his right state of mind. He was fearful of his life. He was literally in that conversation admitting this is just the way he is, and the guy pushes buttons type of thing. And that's not going to go over well at all. My whole question for Tony, if Tony does call in, is what is this guy expecting to do here? Nolo contendere, I think that's what it's called. What is this guy gonna do in terms of his defense? Alvin Kamara, not guilty on both counts. How is he not guilty on both counts? What's he gonna try and fight here? That he was fearful of his life? Like, we've talked about it before. There'd have to be something that happened and transpired beforehand that we don't have footage of, that we're all going to go, oh, it'd have to be that eye-opening. And I'm open-minded to thinking there's something maybe that occurred that made Alvin Kamara maybe react. But what's a jury going to say? Even if he says that he felt threatened for a brief moment, and I don't think a jury's going to buy that this guy was threatened by some non-athlete. Why Alvin Kamara is a trained athlete. Him and the other guy that was attacking this guy, reportedly, NFL player. These guys are gonna be. You're gonna try and sell that to a jury that you were in fear of your life. You well-trained oil machine that works out and pulls trucks in the off season with a weight bench over his neck and chains on him, and you're telling me that you're in fear of your life. If there's not a weapon involved at all, Kamara's done. He's not going to win this case unless he pleads out and changes his plea, and he pleads out guilty to the lesser charge and changes his plea. and at what point he can or cannot. There are deadlines to these kinds of things. But Alvin Kamara is not going to win a not guilty plea on both of these charges unless there was a weapon or something. There's just no way. Settlement can't happen, MT. I just explained that. There's no settlement in civil. You can't settle your way out of civil court. Or, I'm sorry, criminal. Settlement is in civil. Criminal, there's no settlement at all in criminal. It's called pleading, taking a plea, cutting a deal, admitting guilt of some form. As I mentioned earlier, you cannot settle in a criminal trial. There's no settlement. A lot of people say that. They come in and go, oh, he's going to settle and get out. You can't settle. You can't settle in a criminal court. I appreciate you, though. But I just want to clear that up. Mr. TD to the moon.
To the moon.
Honestly, I don't know if I had to predict. Let's this is another report here to see if there's anything new and different in this one. Alvin Kamara pled not guilty to conspiracy to commit battery, which is a misdemeanor. This is what I'm talking about. It's a misdemeanor. If he pleads out on the misdemeanor, he's probably missing 4 to 8 games because of the optics of it. But a misdemeanor is going to be looked at from a different level. If you're going to try and be objective and say, okay, regardless of the videotape and all that, he was convicted of a misdemeanor of conspiracy to commit bodily harm. Not that he committed bodily harm, conspiracy to misdemeanor. The felony is a substantial bodily injury. We'll find out. The court date, here's the other important piece of information why I put this on the screen. His trial is set for July 31 at 10 a.m. Likely means if found guilty, his discipline would come in 2023. They're doing a speedy trial, it seems. And I don't think that even if this thing got dragged out in court, let's say he thought it was the best option to drag it out in court. I think the optics are so bad, the NFL would put him on paid leave and say, go handle your business paid. We're not punishing you until the end result, but we're going to take you off the field because of the optics, and we can do that. The NFL can do that. They don't have to, that's not handing down discipline, and they can get away with that. So Alvin Kamara, in my mind, if I had to guess right now, and it is all guesses and speculations at this point, if I had to guess, he's not winning this case. He has to change courses and plead and take a plea deal and take a deal admitting to the lower conspiracy charge. And the only way that happens is, like I said, if there's a whole bunch of monetary medical stuff heading in the direction of the other individual, but still an admission of guilt. It's still going to be a 4 to 8 game suspension in my mind. But if he tries to play this out in court and go the distance, he's going to be found guilty, in my opinion. In my non-lawyer, just layman perspective based opinion, I don't see how, with the information we have, and we would know if there's some other like weapon or some kind of video beforehand that was awful to the point where Kamara lost his cool. But the problem is, even if, let's say, there was some sort of situation, the guy was holding a baseball bat because he was going to go play baseball out on some field that's in Vegas somewhere. Let's just say that. And Alvin Kamara can prove that the guy holding the bat earlier on at an earlier stage provoked him. This is all hypothetical because there's no evidence of this at all. Would you be able to then convince a jury that the guy was a threat when he was getting blasted into the ground, and then later on the limousine footage where you're laughing about it? I don't think it doesn't matter what you find earlier on. If he was provoking him, calling him nasty names, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's not winning this case if he's going to take it the distance and try and fight a no guilty plea on both of these charges. Let's open the phone lines for a few minutes.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
All right, so dial in. Better Call Saul, says D-Town. Carter won't be out of jail. Let's see, or how do y'all think Carter think? Cooper, there are criminal charges by the state, not the victim. It's all about the DA and they bring these charges, so it's not something that you can settle out of. A lot of people just, they don't understand the process. No offense to anybody that doesn't. I didn't until I learned it too. But you can't settle. It's not something where like money gets you out of this. This is a criminal trial, and there's evidence that the police and the court system and the legal system's not going to overlook because you want to say, give me a check. That's in civil. So dial in if you guys got a question, and I'll answer the best I can. We'll be back at the 7 p.m. show for more news. We got a whole bunch of news to talk about on the 7 p.m. show. We'll touch on this stuff briefly just for people that missed this show, but we'll do a real brief comb over of this, and then we'll jump on all the other news and get to the usual 7 p.m. show kind of topics. There can be only one. Carter. Let's see here. Different from Deshaun then. Deshaun's was civil. Deshaun's was all civil. They tried to potentially try him, and the grand jury decided not to indict on every individual case that was potentially being looked at for a criminal proceeding. So yeah, Deshaun Watson's were all civil or still are. I don't even know which ones are pending. We got the Bruce on the line. The Bruce, what's up?
Hey, Smitty.
What's up, Bruce?
My question is, if one of them goes to Miami, where does Tua go? Or is he just...
I don't think anybody trades for Tua, but it would make sense to get Tua as a throw-in, in a sense, because whenever I talk about Tua being traded, the people gravitate toward the weirdest things. So let's say Baltimore was sending Lamar over to Miami. They would ask for Tua. And I think the Dolphins, in order to convince Lamar to come, that would be a big part of it. We're getting rid of him so you understand this is not a confusing situation. Number two, you're probably going to accept Tua because Tua, even if you're concerned, there's reportedly medical personnel saying that he's not likely to suffer a concussion any more than the average player, which is ridiculous. But regardless, the Ravens are going to say we're better off with a throw-in of Tua than not because we have no quarterback right now. So it would be a potentially intriguing throw-in, in the trade. A lot of people just say things like, Smitty, no one's trading for Tua. I understand that. No one's trading for Tua. That's not what I'm saying. He'd be thrown into the deal to make it a little bit more attractive for the team giving up a player. In the case of the Green Bay Packers, if the Green Bay Packers said, hey, we'll take Tua as well, that's pretty good for them to have a potential security blanket if Jordan Love were to get hurt or not work out. And it also gives Aaron Rodgers the assurance that he's going over to Miami to be the lone starter, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So it's an important component that Tua be involved. Whether the team wants the contract or not, whether the team is interested in him being thrown in, those are all different, pieces of it that we don't know. It's probably going to be case by case for each team. But yeah, Tua's not getting any interest in a trade by himself. But if you're getting rid of Aaron Rodgers or Lamar, and you don't have, you might be interested in taking him on.
Okay.
What else you got, Brucey?
Let's see here. All right, if you were the Giants, which one you keeping, Barkley or Jones?
You have to keep Daniel Jones because what are you without a quarterback? You're nothing. It doesn't matter if you have two Barkleys to rotate through. It doesn't matter if you bring in Hopkins and have Barkley. What are you going to do? You have no quarterback. Daboll's good, but here's the only thing that makes sense to me. Okay, so hear me out. If you do let's say you franchise tag Barkley, that is 100% indication. And I actually like this plan. This is an actual alternative plan. That means you're going after Anthony Richardson. And I really think that if any coach is going to get something out of this kid, it's Daboll. Daboll gets his hands on Richardson. Look what he did with inconsistent, not accurate Josh Allen. Look what he did with Danny Dimes, who pretty much was dead to all of us. And I made fun of Danny Dimes a lot. Daboll's good. He's good. If you give a raw talent like Anthony Richardson to Daboll, he could turn him into a monster. Now, you're not going to be able to do this at 25 because Richardson arguably could, in my opinion, with the combine coming up here, the quarterback combine, later in this week, when the QBs are throwing and Richardson's going to put on a show. He's not doing what Bryce Young's doing. Bryce Young's kind of hiding in the shadows, which isn't a good look. I'll say that right now. But he can make up for that in his pro day for sure. But if Richardson goes out full throttle, and drops loads all over the field and impresses everybody, he could climb into the number one QB spot in the drop of a hat. And we've seen it happen before. We've seen Trey Lance skyrocket up. We've seen Cam Newton go from like QB3 to the number one overall player in the 11th hour in his draft.
Mahomes.
So, yeah, Mahomes. You really could see value climb for. So Richardson's you're not going to be able to get Richardson at even like 10. I think Richardson's going to go inside the top 8. The Falcons will take him. If the Falcons can't pull off a Lamar Jackson deal, the Falcons and the Raiders can't pull off Aaron Rodgers deal. And I should have said that earlier when I said the Raiders are done. They're dead in the water if they don't get Aaron Rodgers. If they get Richardson, they might be okay. So Richardson going to the Colts, Richardson going to the Raiders, Richardson going to the Falcons, Richardson going to the Panthers for sure if he falls to that 9 pick. That means that the New York Giants have to find a way to trade their 25 pick up into that top 7 in order to get him. And if you franchise tag Barkley instead of Danny Dimes, you're clearly indicating Daboll's on the hunt for a rookie quarterback. So we'll see. Okay. My guess is he could maybe attack this plan even with Danny Dimes franchise tagged. And then that way he can get his quarterback underneath Danny Dimes and have a year to develop Danny Dimes one more time. But I absolutely love Richardson in the right spot. And I don't know that he's going to develop as quickly or as well in some of these other spots. So, like, he's got to be in the right spot. He's very contingent upon his landing spot because he is raw and he has a lot of cleanup work. There's a lot of cleanup work to do from a coaching perspective, something Daboll would do in his sleep.
Yeah, 'cause I was looking at it and I'm like, if I'm the Giants, I only seen one good year of Danny Dimes. Why would I tag you? You look like a bum.
Because he didn't look like a bum though. He had a really, really good year, and the fact that you're tagging him, like, I hear what you're saying, but the fact that you're tagging him, you're protecting yourself because it's a 1-year commitment. You can break up after the next season, so it's no harm, no foul. For those asking about, is the combine going on right now? It certainly is. There's different portions for different positions, the bench press and all that for the offensive linemen and all the defensive guys. This is the schedule for the combine. I have this on my Instagram. You can find that at The Fantasy Football Show on IG, The Fantasy Football Show. And this, where were we? Let me put this on screen here. This right here is the schedule for the combine. So on Saturday, we have the measurements and the workouts for the QBs, tight ends, and wide receivers. Nothing for the running backs on Saturday. On Sunday, we have the QB measurement or the running back measurements and workouts for the running backs. We also have the bench press for the quarterbacks, and then the quarterbacks and tight ends and wide receivers. And then the tight ends, quarterbacks, and tight ends don't do anything on Monday, and the running backs do the bench. So, yeah, and will I be live? Yeah, I'll be live a ton. So on Saturday, when the quarterback, tight end, and wide receiver groups are doing the workouts and measurements, I'll be jumping in and out. I don't really know my schedule on it yet. I'm going to kind of, wing it. And then on Sunday, the measurements and workouts and the bench press for the QBs, tight ends, and wide receivers. There's a lot to go over on Sunday. Sunday will probably be the more busy live because you got both sets doing something. And then the bench press on Monday will cover, whenever that's needed. So that's the schedule. Jalen Carter news should shake up the top 10. It certainly could. Carter's going to be. There's going to be a lot of teams that are concerned. I think he falls only so far, but he might end up not being. I don't know how many slots he's going to fall. It's tough to say. Character is a tough thing, and that's what you're most scared of with a top 5 pick, is you're drafting somebody that's going to end up being, a bust because of a character concern or whatever. So we'll see. We'll see how far he falls. He's only going to fall so far, but if he does fall and the character concerns are unwarranted, at this point, or he can recover from the situation, then all of a sudden you got a team like the Raiders, if for any reason he fell, that are going to capitalize on a talent that shouldn't have fallen but did because of final 11th hour announcement. Because that kind of got dropped in a very, very awkward time. It was pretty bad timing, but it is what it is, and he's got to address it. Bears trading down, but to who? If I had to guess, bro, I would probably say that they probably trade down. In my prediction is they trade down to 4. I don't think the Bears want to trade down too much, but I think they can get a handsome, high second round pick or maybe even something a little more crazy. Future first round pick, maybe even like dropping from 1 to 4. The reason I say that is because the Colts probably, I would imagine everybody's got their guy, their quarterback they want. I think Stroud right now is the number 1 quarterback across most teams' boards. But like I said, Richardson with an amazing combine could jump into everybody's number 1 QB. And it can happen in a snap. So don't be shocked if a team like the Colts or a team like the Panthers or the Falcons can't get a Lamar deal done. The Falcons move up. The Raiders can't get Aaron Rodgers because he returns to Green Bay or goes to the New York Jets. Don't be surprised if the Raiders try and trade up. This is a coveted number 1 overall pick in I wouldn't call it an amazing QB class, but it has a good 3 quarterbacks that one of them could be amazing. I would say it's going to be a hard-pressed class to produce 2 top 7 QBs or higher, because our top 7 in the fantasy football space and the NFL space, they go hand in hand. There's no QB in the top 5 or 6 that's not really an NFL top 5 or 6. They just produce great stats and vice versa. It's one and the same. They go hand in hand. The top 4 are not getting jostled around. It's in any order, but it's Mahomes and Josh Allen and Burrow and Jalen Hurts, and that's a tier break. And that's football, that's fantasy. And then you got Fields, you got Trevor Lawrence, you got Lamar, depending on if Lamar's in Baltimore or elsewhere. So you literally have where's a guy like Stroud or Bryce Young or Richardson going to slide in? If they even become a monster prospect and they end up really delivering, it's like what, 7, 8, 9, 10? Like that's probably the limit they could crack. And so I don't think you can claim when I believe a quarterback can't crack the top 6. Just going to be a tall order, like near impossible. Not impossible, but near impossible to be that good. Maybe Bryce Young could be. Like, that's the thing is, like, Richardson, he could be Trevor Lawrence, not necessarily how he plays, but Trevor Lawrence, maybe Lamar good, so that's 6, 7. Like, he's got that potential, but he could also be the next Marcus Russell. If he doesn't get Dable or somebody that knows how to develop him, he's maybe the next Marcus Russell. Stroud, I like him, but I don't get the sense he's a top 5, 6, 7 quarterback at the NFL level, fantasy or NFL. I think he could be borderline 10, but I think Bryce Young's going to either fail, like hardcore because of size. You're all concerned about him measuring in below 5'11". I think we've all accepted he's probably not 6 foot, but if he's 5'11 and a quarter, whatever, there's a chance he fails. Kyler Murray, I think, is the only other. I think Johnny Manziel and Kyler Murray are the only other, I think, first-round quarterbacks in the new draft common era that were under 6 foot, I believe. And Kyler Murray's, I think, came in at 5'10". So this guy's taller than Kyler Murray by an inch or a half an inch at least. If he comes in at 5'10", there's going to be major concerns across the league. If he comes in at 5'11 and a half, 5'11 and a quarter, 5'11 and 3/4, almost 6 foot, or especially if he comes in 6 foot, he's going to see a lot of teams still believe in him. And they should, because this guy's magical. Like, I can't say Stroud's magical. I can't say Richardson's magical. Bryce Young is magical. At the college level, he was magical. At the pro level, because of size, there's a possibility that he doesn't develop or can't get into a position to deploy that said magic. But if the size doesn't hold him back, in my opinion, Bryce Young is the only quarterback that could crack the top 6 or 7 of fantasy and NFL quarterbacks from this class. He's got that much talent and raw ability and innate instinct and ability to just make plays. I forget who said this. I think it was on NFL Live or something, that no play's dead with this guy under center. Like, no matter where the play is, no matter where it is in the progression of the play, no matter how badly the play is collapsing or crumbling, there's no dead play with Bryce Young. And it's just a matter of, can he play at his size at the next level? And I'm very hopeful he can, and I'm very hopeful he lands in an enabling spot, like, let's say,
Indianapolis.
The Falcons. Like, I would love him at number 8. And the Falcons could get really lucky, and his size concerns make him drop to 8. Because if Richardson takes his place and Levis the Beaver ends up going ahead of him too, which is so plausible. The way that the NFL draft player prospects rise and fall based on this news, that news, combine workout, a rumor, whatever. Like, could a musical chairs situation be happening at the quarterback position? Absolutely. Could it go Stroud, Richardson, Levis, and Bryce Young going number 8 to the Falcons? Absolutely here for it. I mean, we want it to be Lamar, of course. We want it to be Lamar, but I'm totally fine with the way that playing out that way. I'd be okay with that. Bruce, I don't know if you would, but...
Well, I would be okay, but I would rather have them go to Indy. I want one of these rookie quarterbacks go to Indy because it's going to help out Jonathan Taylor and it's going to help out Michael Pittman.
Well, I almost guarantee they're getting one quarterback, Brucey. We just don't know which one. They're drafting at this number 4 spot, and I think that they're the most likely candidate to trade up to 1. Why do I say that? Because I think the Bears, they probably have 1 or 2 guys in mind. I mean, I'm sure they have a handful of guys in mind, right? But they probably have 1 or 2 guys in mind. And I have a feeling that they know the Texans are going QB. The Cardinals probably aren't going QB, although if I was Gannon, I know he's talking up Kyler. He's not going QB. He's not. He's talking Kyler up way too much to be going QB. It would look so double talk like and wishy-washy and flipping one way and another. It would just look so backstabbingly awkward if he was to talk Kyler up like he has and then draft a QB. So I don't think the Cardinals are taking a quarterback as much as I want it to happen. So the Texans are taking a QB. So I think the Bears know that if they swap here, there's only one. The Colts will be taking a QB, the Texans will take a QB, and the Cardinals will be the first non-quarterback drafted. And I think that they're okay probably with that. That makes the most sense from the Bears' perspective. If they kind of don't even want to trade down, but they know they've got to, because this is a quarterback draft slot. You're paying more money for this draft slot. You're paying quarterback money to a defensive player or offensive player. So you have to be worried about trading down to get your guy too. And so if their guy is going to be there at 4, that the Colts get their guy, the Texans are going to get left with the second best. And then that means the Seahawks, either if they've signed Geno to a long-term deal, they won't be drafting a quarterback. Lions said Goff is our guy. Doesn't mean they won't consider a quarterback. Raiders and Falcons and Panthers, there's, like, in my mind, unless Lamar's a Falcon and Aaron Rodgers is a Raider, if these 3 teams don't have signal callers that are named Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, and Lamar Jackson, and again, the likelihood of really any of that happening is Lamar here and Aaron Rodgers here. There's, in my mind, very, very little to almost zero chance that these 3 teams all pass on those quarterbacks. So it would be, I think at least 2 of them would be drafting the 2 remaining quarterbacks if they didn't have, if not all 3 of them. Like, I could see the Raiders, Falcons, and Panthers, if for any reason Bryce Young, Richardson, and Levis were there, it would go boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, which one do I want Indy to go for? And I'm like, Bryce Young.
I like Bryce Young a lot. I think that people need to realize he's not Kyler Murray.
Right.
And I don't want, and it's so
Manziel.
It's so reckless to compare him to Mahomes, so I'm not doing that. So we don't need the commentary and people to say he's not Mahomes, Smitty. He's not. I don't need to hear that. But like when you try and compare him to a quarterback, he does some things that are very representative of the way Mahomes plays and the way Mahomes looked coming out as a rookie. Like, people have to keep in mind that when you compare him to a rookie Mahomes, you don't remember, like I do. I said Mahomes as a rookie would be a top 1, not top 5, top 1 to 5 quarterback. So I know a little something about the scouting of a quarterback. And Mahomes, I knew he was going to be an elite player. And I went on NBC Sports Radio in October when Alex Smith was going crazy. Do you remember the year Mahomes, the year before Mahomes got handed the starting job and the team moved on to Mahomes? In October, September, October
was his mentor.
Yeah, September, October, everyone said Mahomes who? Even people in KC said, why are we going to go to this guy Mahomes that we drafted when Alex Smith is on fire? He's a top 5 quarterback. And he was, like, it was crazy. Alex Smith, the people have foggy memories, or you weren't playing fantasy football back then, or you weren't following the NFL closely. In October, the year before Mahomes was elevated, Alex Smith through August, September, and into October was a top 5 quarterback. It was crazy. He was going nuts. It was an unbelievable year. And even in the middle, in October, I went on NBC Sports Radio and I said, I know everyone's going to say this is crazy because Alex Smith looks so good. The team needs to move on, even though he's doing really, really well, and put Mahomes in because he will be a top 1 to 5 quarterback. So I'm saying that not to pat myself on the back or to get a cookie. It's basically to say that I know what I'm talking about when I see a potential quarterback skill set. And I know when I identify a quarterback that's special. And I'm telling you right now, Bryce Young looks as good as Mahomes did coming out of college. And as bold of a statement as that appears to be, a lot of the people that are saying that, they can't remember that they didn't even like Mahomes coming out of college. Like, Mahomes is very doubted coming out of college. A lot of people didn't even think he was going to translate at the NFL level at all. So what I'm saying is that from the pure perspective of coming out of school and being ready for the NFL, Mahomes didn't look as good, proven by the fact that no one knew he was going to rise up and explode. He didn't look as good as Bryce Young coming out of college. And so I'm not saying he's going to become Pat Mahomes. Look at Tom Brady and Pat Mahomes. Look at Tom Brady, Pat Mahomes, Kurt Warner. Some of the best quarterbacks, and a lot of the best quarterbacks, you don't know what they are fully until they're in the National Football League. They get the right coaching. They grow and develop and turn into a player that they didn't really look like they were in college or at the level below. No one knew but Vermeil that Kurt Warner was going to become Kurt Warner. Nobody. Kurt Warner, his own team didn't want him playing. His own offensive coordinator didn't want Kurt Warner in there when Trent Green went down. Go watch the American Underdog story. It's fantastic. But Vermeil's the only one that wanted him in. Tom Brady, I guarantee almost everyone in here was in diapers, sharding in their diapers, or not even born when Tom Brady was running at the combine. And if you were alive, then God bless you, you're like me, and you're dating yourself. But I watched this guy, Tom Brady, run at the combine. Mr. QB, top-ranking QB producer in the industry. You know, according to Fantasy Pros, I from 2021, 2020, and 2019, number 1 in the entire industry. You're looking at him for quarterback rankings. I didn't think I saw anything when Tom Brady was running his 40 time, doing his workouts, doing his throws. He didn't look like anything special at all. At all. I didn't see it coming one single bit. I saw Josh Allen coming. I saw Mahomes coming. I saw a lot of guys coming. I thought this was just I didn't even think he was a backup. Nobody did. So the fact that people draw conclusions about Bryce Young when he looks really good coming out, when people draw conclusions even about Richardson and how raw he is, those are the same people that said nothing's going to change with Josh Allen. Nothing's going to change with Jalen Hurts. Do you know how many times I've argued on this show last year with people. Bruce, you've seen it. Everybody that's been a regular for over a year, you saw me battle with people on Jalen Hurts. People would actually say, if he doesn't do it this time with A.J. Brown, he's never going to do it. And he's inconsistent, Smitty. He's not accurate. He didn't even get a chance to improve. He just played his first full season, and people were saying that he's inaccurate. Josh Allen coming out of his rookie year, he's inaccurate. He can't throw. He didn't have weapons. They give him Diggs. Look what happens. It's just so funny that people draw conclusions over a player, especially a quarterback, when we've seen time and time again, we don't know what the full potential is until we start to see it. And so Richardson cut him a break. Richardson might be the best rookie quarterback in this class. Bryce Young. Look, Drew Brees was... I don't know if Drew Brees was actually 6 foot. Maybe the numbers are a little more accurate these days.
5'11".
Yeah, he was like 5'11". Like, really, come on. He's not much. He was not any taller than Bryce Young if it was like literally just this much. Just a little taller than Bryce Young. Kyler Murray's shorter than Bryce Young. Let's be honest. My 11-year-old daughter is almost as tall as Bryce Young. Let's just get that out of the way. Okay? Let's get it out of the way. But Bryce Young is magical. And I'm telling you right now, if in the right spot, he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. And I really, really, really like this guy. Sebastian says, I need facts from you, Smitty. You're the real deal. I was A-Rod. I would invest in your show at the very least, but you make let's see, hold on. I got to expand this because my whole thing's freaking out. It's blurry. But you make a slot of assertions such as, I made the first trade calculator off FF, etc. Well, I always tell you, too, I always make it very clear, it is the first instant-based trade calculator that I could find. You never know who's cooking one up in their basement. There could have been some site out there that nobody even visited. It wasn't popular at all. And this guy had a trade calculator up. So you can never say never, which is why I always preface it. I was in search for a trade calculator. And if you want, find somebody in here that's been following me for the 20 years, and they'll confirm it for you. I don't have to prove anything to you. I appreciate you, Sebastian. But I don't have to prove anything to you because I don't have time. I'm nonstop moving, bro. And if you want to get confirmation on some of the things I dropped on NBC and CBS Sports Radio, ask somebody in the chat that was around for that too, because I was on the longest running fantasy football radio show in the world. I wasn't on it the entire time. I was on it for 19 straight years. The show was 23 years running, and it closed during COVID, which was devastating. But the main host, I was the co-host. The main host, Russ Bliss, we're going to have on the show here this year. So I'm excited to bring him on a couple times. Maybe we'll try and do a regular spot each week. But you can view more testimonials at thefantasyfootballshow.com, Sebastian. But I don't have time to stop and try and prove anything to you. But I do appreciate you, and I would love you to stay, and I'd love you to be a part of the community. And, let's roll, baby. Let's roll. Cheers. Terry says, call Saul Kamara. The Kamara the like. What's that mean? Match the likes.
Kamara's a bum.
100 eyeballs, 53 thumbs up. Punch the thumb up button. Okay, Brucey, yeah, talk about Kamara, Brucey. He's a bum. Watch your bomb. Don't drop any bombs on here and ruin the monetization of the video. But what are you feeling about Kamara?
I think he's a bum. I think if I was the commissioner, this is just me. Ridley got 1 year for gambling. He would at least get 3 for what he did. I don't care if he's convicted or not. All I have to do is say it and watch what he said. I'd give him 3 years. If Ridley gets 1 year, think about that. Ridley got 1 year for gambling.
I missed your call. Dial in again, pal. Whoever it was.
For what you did.
Yeah.
It's just like domestic violence. I'd give them 3 years too.
I think he's not going to face jail time. I know a lot of people that defend Kamara. Their comment is something along the lines of, "It was a fight. people get in fights all the time. It's ridiculous. And I get that perspective. But if you watch the whole footage, this wasn't one of those fights. So I kind of get tired of people saying that, it was a fight. People get in bar fights all the time. You can't even. Yeah, it was a complete lamb basting, and then the guy had no shot. He wasn't even fighting back in any of the footage. So.
Listen, I challenged Alvin Kamara, and he blocked me. I said, "Why don't you do to your butt, or you do it? You did to him, do it to me." And he blocked me.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara blocked you. I've got a couple people that have blocked me. Josh Jacobs blocked me. I want to say he unblocked me though. Let me go back to Josh Jacobs on Instagram and see if I'm still blocked. I think he unblocked me.
Well, he blocked me because I challenged him to a fight. I'd be like, "Hey, it's equal." Well, I live near
he blocked me.
Gym, so I train down there, so it'd be an equal fight.
Yeah, I just looked him up on Instagram and I can't find him, so he blocked me on Instagram. But he's the only player I've had some very distasteful words. I mean, Kamara too, I guess. But when Josh Jacobs threatened fans and said, "Come fight me at the stadium," I went after him a little bit in my just saying like that's pathetic, and he saw it and blocked it, so that's fine.
Well, the problem is what if someone actually did show up?
Yeah, you helped me draft Lamar as my QB in 2019. Appreciate you, Doom. A lot of people, I kind of like these comments when I see like, "Hey, you helped me win a league with Henry." Here's what's so funny. I'm evolving, okay? And sometimes people think I'm just hard-nosed, hard-line stance Smitty. Like, I don't know. I think Ron Navy has seen it. My first video, the Fantasy Football Show's first video produced on Instagram. And it really, before my channel was like where it was like the first month of my channel. The first video was Derrick Henry will win you leagues. Don't cut him. My video said, "Don't cut Derrick Henry." It's an embarrassing video, to be honest with you. It's like a very, very embarrassing video clip. My audio is horrible. Let me see if I can even find it. But people don't realize that, I evolve. Like, just because I don't want to draft Henry now doesn't mean I wasn't one of the people that were promoting getting him when people were literally calling him garbage. But I'm trying to find, here it is. This is the first video I ever created. This is in November. Okay, so just for context, in November of 2018, Derrick Henry could not get the starting job away from, I believe it was, who was the running back that was starting that year? It wasn't DeMarco Murray yet, was it? It was the other guy, Deion Lewis. I forget it was Deion Lewis. But in December of 2018, Derrick Henry was being cut in dynasty drafts because he could not get the job and rip it away from Deion Lewis and DeMarco Murray. He couldn't do it. He wasn't the starter. They drafted him to be the starter, and he couldn't get the job. And you know what I said? I said this little number right here. This is your boy Smitty, okay? There we go.
Someone asked me today, what player comes to mind as far as like a rags to riches player? A player that can go from a flex or running back 3 or running back 4 type of area all the way up to being a top 5 to 10 running back moving forward. And the one player that comes to mind is Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry had that appeal heading into the 2018 fantasy football season until the Tennessee Titans acquired Deion Lewis. And I think that everybody's kind of forgetting the upside that he has if he's getting starter carries. Now, will he is tough to say. That's what makes him kind of a risk in entering the next few weeks. But I think that of any player in the entire league, he is one guy I would not drop or recommend dropping in redraft.
So, aside from me going, excuse me, my name is Smitty Bob, and I have an announcement. Derrick Henry, aside from my piss poor performance of displaying that information, I just want you all to know I didn't always say don't draft Derrick Henry. People were running from Derrick Henry. Okay, and I know everyone says, hey, where's your proof, Smitty? You always say you're first on everything. I'm not saying I'm first on everything. I love Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He hasn't done anything yet. Okay, there's plenty of players that I bust on, and I'm very open about the players that I don't land. But when I say something like, oh, I actually called Derrick Henry before anybody was even really talking about him, and everyone's like, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? There's one piece of evidence. Okay, I don't need to provide evidence, and I don't really care. But what my point is, I'm not always against some of the players I'm talking about. So when I say Jacobs blocked me, I'm ripping on Jacobs, the year that he said, F your fantasy and meet me at the stadium and fight me, doesn't mean I can't change my mind and like what he's doing right now either. It goes both ways. But yeah, right. Your boy Smitty was the radio cadence opposed to YouTube voice now. Yeah, I think when I first started YouTube, that wasn't even my voice. I didn't even talk like that. I was like, hello, I'm on camera now, and I'm freezing up. It just goes to show you can improve, too. I don't mind showing that because it's kind of like when you lose a lot of weight and you look at a photo of you when you're holding about 20 or 30 extra lbs. When you're wearing a meat suit in the photo, but you're not anymore, you're okay showing it. But that was my first ever video with the Fantasy Football Show. Was Derrick Henry. Don't drop him. Don't drop him. I think he could be, what did I say? He could be the next rags to riches, flex option, borderline bench player, turned top 5 running back. And what did Derrick Henry become? Okay. So
now you can sell him high.
Now I'm saying get rid of him. Run for the hills. Now, in a non-patting my own back, I also said that last year, and he still had a very, very good year. So I jumped a year early on Derrick Henry, but I'm running for the hills still. There's no way I'm interested in getting on board a 29-year-old, 250-pound running back monster like him that's taking a toll. Like, we're talking about, he was in the league for a handful of years, and in that 2018 clip, we've been waiting for him to rise up, and he had it, and that was 2018. So anyway, Smitty sounded like a pup. I did. Hi, my name's Smith. Hi. There's a guy named Derrick Henry that I think you all should draft. My stapler. Where's my stapler? Anyway, Derrick Henry's a very big man. He's about 200. Let me read. Let me read what I'm going to say. It's kind of funny, bro. It is what it is.
Hey, you saved me from getting rid of Burrow or Mahomes when I put the YouTube comments on, and you said you'd answer them. You're like, well, listen, I got both of these guys. Which one should I trade? And you were like, none.
I'm not following what's going on here, Bruce.
I put on a super flex, and my team was like, not that. It wasn't that impressive, except for my quarterbacks.
Gotcha.
And you answered the question: if you have 2 top 5 quarterbacks, you have 2 of them. Don't trade them. Build from them.
I got you, Brucey. Brucey, what else we talking about here before I jump? I'm gonna go grab some food before my later show. So I got to jump right now. Give me. You got 10 seconds. Go.
I think Rashad Bateman, even though I like him, I think he's a bum, especially for what he said about when the GM said their receiver room sucked, and he took a shot at the GM.
Okay, we might disagree on this one, Brucey, which is totally fine. We're going to talk about this at 7 p.m. because I already have it queued up and everything, and I totally respect your take on it. I don't want you to think I don't necessarily love Bateman at all, but I think that what Bateman said when the GM came out, and let me see if I can find it real quick. We're going to talk about it at 7 p.m. But I hear what you're saying. That's not it. Let's see here. Let me see if I can find it. I got it somewhere in here, and I'm gonna show it at 7 p.m. Carl's calling in real quick. Carl, you're live on the Fantasy Football Show. You got about 20 or 30 seconds, pal.
Hey there, I need your help on a dynasty trade.
Okay, hit me with it.
Okay, so I have Jalen Hurts in a super flex, and he's offering me Jamar Chase, Javonte Williams, and the 105 for 2023 all for Hurts. Do you think that haul is worth it?
And a super flex?
Yep.
Javonte Williams, we got to look at as a project right now. He's no different than drafting Kendre Miller right now. Could that change really quickly? Yes, but he's a project. Jamar Chase is going probably in round 1, but he's not even close to the value of Jalen Hurts in a super flex. Like, not even close. So what was the pick? 1.5?
Yes.
How many quarterbacks are going to get taken in that draft, in the rookie draft, do you think, based on history?
By that point, I think Anthony Richardson will be going one left. So like about 3.
3 quarterbacks will be gone?
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing.
Okay. So if that's the case, bro, I'd probably say, I mean, do you think you could get Gibbs? You'd probably get Gibbs then? You think it's going to be Bijan and Gibbs and then 3 quarterbacks? So you're at 5, you get one of those 2?
That's what I'm imagining.
And what would be your quarterbacks if you traded Hurts away? My initial instinct is no way, but I just want to know what the lay of the land is.
At the moment, I have Burrow and Hurts, and then plus like Andy Dalton and guys like that. But so I'd probably be going in with Richardson and Burrow if I accept this trade.
Richardson and Burrow. I mean, if you could get Jahmyr Gibbs and Javonte Williams and Jamar Chase for Jalen Hurts, and you still will have, but you're going to draft Richardson with the 1.5, so you're not going to have Gibbs?
That's what I was thinking of doing.
Oh, then no. If you're telling me you're going to have Richardson anyway with another pick or something, it'd be different. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, having Gibbs and Jamar Chase with Burrow is pretty darn good, though. But what place did you get last year? This is always, if your answer's second or first, then you've already answered your own question. But go ahead.
Second.
There you go. You see? This mind's been around a while. Bro. And I think you just answered your own question. As much as it's tempting to use one QB logic here, you just play second for a reason, because you had Burrow and Hurts. Go build around that and find a way to get the closest thing you can to a Jamar Chase that's a little lesser version and keep the QB, bro.
All right, will do. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you, Carl. We have another caller on. Oh, we had him. He hung up. It was Shardell. Probably calling in to rant and rave about Joe Montana again. Shardell, if you're there, call in.
We could talk about Jimmy G, my guy, again.
Yeah, Shardell wasn't having it. He was really, really upset. Call Saul. Can you? What's he saying? Somebody, is it possible that Kamara, by pleading guilty, can drag it out through the court another season? Probably not. The fact that the trial date's been set, that the attorneys apparently are not wanting to drag it out. And like Tony said earlier, it's in Kamara's advantage to go with a speedy trial, because now that he's actually been indicted. Keep in mind that he was dragging things out without being indicted. And so the NFL was sitting back. Given that he was indicted, okay, given that he's got 2 charges against him now, given that he was arrested, which happened already, but given that the video footage was released and the optics are horrible, if he tried to drag it out, it would only work in his disadvantage most likely, because then the league would put him on paid leave on the commissioner exempt list paid, which is not deemed as a punishment because it's all about innocent until proven guilty. The NFL lets it play out in court. But the optics are so bad, and the fact that he's indicted, they would say, handle your business, you're paid leave, we're not punishing you, we're going to pay you. And then if you're innocent, then you can come back. And so he would waste time. And if he goes, like Tony described, if he can plea out on the lesser charge, and Kamara can be guilty on the misdemeanor and not guilty and just plea on the lesser charge, it's more likely he's going to get back on the field quicker, and he's gonna get his suspension out of the way, 4 to 8 games, and then play. So if he tries to drag it out, he might not ever play again. Not for sure, but there's a strong likelihood of that. So it's in his best interest to go speedy through this, and his attorneys are probably telling him that. It's a different ball game. You can't drag it out anymore when you got an indictment. You can drag it out when it's all speculation, and there's a footage, it's grainy footage, it's out there, but there's nothing hardcore yet in place legally. Now it is. There's a trial date. The trial will be going on during the season because it will start on July 31st or whatever the date was. And so if he delays things, then the NFL is going to not let him go to court and do all this while he's on the field. They're going to say, paid leave, go do it. Go take care of it, come back. Brucey, I'll be back at 7 p.m., bro. Call in then.
All right.
All right, appreciate you. All right, guys. Aaron Rodgers, Alvin Kamara. I'll see you all at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm live Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern every single Monday through Friday. I'm also live whenever news breaks, which is what this video is right here. This is not the 7 p.m. show. This is a breaking news show. I work for you. I'm live 24, or I'm on call 24/7, 365 days a year. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, I'm always on call. I'm on call. I'm not some show that takes off 3 months, or we'll be back in July. Hey, real good season, everybody, especially the way it ended with Burrow and the Bengals not playing. Like, well, yeah, let's just end. I'll see you in June. No. We're live all the time. I'm live at least once a day. At least once a day. And I'm live whenever news breaks because that's how I roll. And I know you need me to explain things in the way that I see them. Not that I'm always right, but you need someone talking about this stuff from a pliable perspective, a tangible perspective. What's it mean? What's the ramification of this? What's the ramification of that? Not just to report it or break it. I'm here to explain my viewpoint on it. Okay, because I'm not like Schefter where I'm actually being fed the information from the player. Everyone knows that anybody breaking stuff is usually Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport or someone. I'm here to break it all down. That's how we roll. Get Charbonnet. I'll see you all at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Get Charbonnet. Pop open a nice bottle of Charbonnet.
And also, I'm live pretty much every other night at midnight, which will be most likely tonight. So I'll see you again. We'll go live at 7 p.m. Then we're going to go live at midnight. There'll be 3 live streams in one day because I work for you. Let's go.
The stack above all stacks. It's time to drop the pancake emojis in the live chat.
Get those thumbs up in if you can. 70 of you still in here, 64 thumbs up. Appreciate you. See you all at 7.